One of the greatest questions in science and human thought is the question of the origin of life. How did it all begin? What caused the universe to come into existence, and what caused life to appear on Earth? One of the apparent features in nature is the appearance of purposeful design. Thus it has been proposed since the ancient past by human thinkers that nature and life must have been created by some non-material cause, force, or supernatural intelligence. Others have had different views. But whatever we personally may think about the true origin of nature, we can't escape the fact that the appearance of design in nature is so powerful that it seems to be acknowledged by all, regardless of their worldview. It seems to be our intuitive and reflexive first conclusion when we look at nature. Whether we are scientists or just laypersons, it doesn't matter. We all seem to have this same initial reaction. A scientist, Francis Crick, and one of the founders of DNA helix structure, wrote in his book about the power of this appearance. Biologists must constantly keep in mind that what they see was not designed, but rather evolved. What mad pursuit! Page 138. In the same vein, another well-known scientist said about biology, biology is the study of complicated things that give the appearance of having been designed for a purpose. Richard Dawkins, The Blind Watchmaker. Page 1. These two respected, modern-day men of science acknowledge the appearance of purposeful design in nature. The recognition of this seeming design in nature seems to be universal among mankind, and is more or less independent of different worldviews. Francis Crick was an atheist, and so is Richard Dawkins. To prove the universality of this recognition of design, let's take a from yet another well-known person, with drastically different worldview, and from different time period. A deeply religious man, and a key figure in early Christianity, Apostle Paul. He wrote to his fellow believers in ancient Rome. Since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, His eternal power, and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. Letter to the Romans. Chapter 1. Verses 19 and 20. New Testament. It is interesting to note that some of the most prominent atheistic thinkers, and one of the most prominent religious figure, made the same initial conclusion about nature. The appearance of design is amazingly strong. Of course, Dawkins, Crick, and other atheists or agnostics would not agree with Apostle Paul's final conclusion. To Paul, the appearance of design was a proof of design by supernatural creator. Interestingly though, Francis Crick proposed his own, quite controversial theory of directed panspermia as an explanation for the origin of life on Earth. In his theory, he proposed that initially, life evolved somewhere else in cosmos, and then was sent to Earth by space aliens. So great seemed the improbability of life getting started without any kind of intelligent guidance under the conditions of the early Earth, that he made this wild suggestion. Not many share his view, but it is a hypothesis that is important to be aware of. The appearance of purposeful design in nature is so strong that it is extremely difficult to accept that it could be just an illusion. The examples of things having an appearance of being designed are numerous, but let's look at one of the best examples. A living cell and its biological information. Biochemist Michael Denton wrote, "To grasp the reality of life, as it has been revealed by molecular biology, we must magnify a cell 1,000 million times, until it is 20 kilometers in diameter, and resembles a giant airship, large enough to cover a great city like London or New York. What we would then see would be an object of unparalleled complexity and adaptive design. On the surface of the cell, we would see millions of openings, like the portholes of a vast spaceship, opening and closing to allow a continual stream of materials to flow in and out. If we were to enter one of these openings, we would find ourselves in a world of supreme technology and bewildering complexity." Evolution. A theory in crisis. In the same book, Denton continues, "Molecular biology has shown that even the simplest of all living systems on the Earth today, bacterial cells, are exceedingly complex objects. Although the tiniest bacterial cells are incredibly small, weighing less than 10 to 12 grams, each is in effect a veritable micro-miniaturized factory, containing thousands of exquisitely designed pieces of intricate molecular machinery, made up altogether of 100,000 million atoms, far more complicated than any machine built by man, and absolutely without parallel in the non-living world. A living cell is obviously an amazing example of something that looks like a product of masterful design by some super intelligent agent. If the cell so strongly suggests intelligent design, common sense interpretation of what we observe in the cell is that it must have been designed. The design is real, not just an illusory appearance. Pure chance, or some unguided process, doesn't sound very convincing explanation for the origin of the cell. If the complexity of the cell, with all its nanoscale machinery, isn't amazing enough, then consider the biological information within the cell. In the nucleus of animal or human cell resides an amazing molecule. It is called deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA. What is remarkable about DNA? It is the fact that DNA functions like a real code. Biotechnologist Greg Venter commented on DNA in Industrial Biotechnology magazine. It has taught and proved that life is a DNA software system, and that the information contained within that DNA code contains all the information necessary for life. But what does it actually mean that DNA is like a code or a software? It simply means that it is a meaningful and functional language. A real language. Science journalist Matt Ridley described DNA. The filament of DNA is information, a message written in a code of chemicals, one chemical for each letter. It is almost too good to be true, but the code turns out to be written in a way that we can understand. Think about this. DNA is an understandable language. It is not just some random gibberish or molecular mash. It carries real information, just like human languages are carriers of real information. Do you know any understandable language, working computer software, or any type of functional information that does not originate from intelligent conscious mind? Mankind knows no examples of meaningful, functional information being generated by some random unguided process. Thus the appearance of intelligent design in DNA is so strong. There's no better way to describe it. According to current knowledge, there exists absolutely no other known cause for the type of information that DNA contains. Based on current scientific understanding, it is totally reasonable and logical to conclude that the best explanation for life's origin is some type of designing intelligence. This is Steve Adler of Art, Science, and Truth. Thank you for watching. See you next time.